We begin with breaking news coming out of the UK. The COVID-19 pandemic sweeping the globe has now reached number 10 Downing Street. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson testing positive for the coronavirus. He revealed the news in a message posted to Twitter.
Hi, folks. I want to bring you up to speed with something that's happening today, which is that I've developed mild symptoms of the coronavirus. That's to say, a temperature and a persistent cough. And on the advice of the chief medical officer, I've taken a test that has come out positive. So I am working from home. I'm self-isolating, and that's entirely the right thing to do. But be in no doubt that I can continue, thanks to the wizardry of modern technology, to communicate with all my top team to lead the national fight back against coronavirus.
Now, the Prime Minister went on to thank healthcare workers, teachers and volunteers. Now, the news comes just days after Prince Charles tested positive. There were more than 11,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus in the UK, last count, and 578 people have died. Let's go to CTV's Paul Workman. He joins us now from London. Paul, do we know much more about perhaps how he contracted COVID-19, Boris Johnson?
Not many details, but it does raise the specter that a good number of people inside 10 Downing Street might also be infected. That could be a problem for running the country, if you think about it, really. Boris Johnson convened a number of high-level war cabinet meetings over the last week or so. He was in the House of Commons this week, although somewhat sitting apart from others on the front benches. His health secretary, a health minister, tested positive a couple of weeks ago. She's now back at work. But it does raise the idea of who else might have come in contact with the Prime Minister. Did he give it to other people? Did other people give it to him? We're not sure about the transmission. One other concern would be, I think, that his partner, Carrie Symonds, she and the Prime Minister recently announced that she is pregnant. So that is a complication that, of course, probably does worry a few people. But the Prime Minister himself said he's feeling okay and he will continue to run the country.
Let's talk a moment about the Queen, because, of course, the Prime Minister and the Queen often have interaction. Do we know when his last meeting with the Queen would have been?
It would have been, I think they usually try to do a weekly meeting, and I think maybe at least 2 weeks ago when he last saw her. I know he did a video conference with the Queen this week for his regular meetings, so because she's at Windsor Castle, and of course he's here in London. So there's so far nobody's made any connection between Boris Johnson and the Queen at this point. We do know, of course, that Prince Charles spent time with the Queen, perhaps just before he became infectious or contagious. But that's all we know about any connection to the Queen at this point. And
how are things going in London with the lockdown in full effect?
There are a lot of people, health officials, predicting that there's going to be a huge surge in infections in the coming days. Somebody used the word tsunami yesterday, suggesting that there's just going to be a tsunami of patients and that the hospitals may be overwhelmed and overwhelmed fairly quickly. Finally, it seems that distancing regulations, rules, and orders are taking effect. You don't see many people on the streets. The skies are clear of airplanes. The roads are clear of cars. I mean, I think there are still people out there who are not following the rules. The police are on duty trying to stop them. But the coronavirus certainly is going to surge here.
Yeah, it has an eerie effect on the cities in lockdown, definitely. Paul Workman, thanks for joining us today.
Okay.